at that time, I very strongly, I had a faith. No matter bad things or good things, the bad things and good things, I tried to look at from his eyes, not from mine. I mean, my mind is just too inadequate to see the whole picture. So, picture. In my mind will say, well, those people that were perished in the tsunami, they must have had bad karma. Why? I mean, that's my mind. That's my mind.
I had to let go of why.
Of what?
Why? I had to let go of the question.
Of why? Yeah.
Yes. One of the things, again, in the scriptures of my particular practice, is it's written that person who thinks he understands why God does what God does is wrong. And I was enormously relieved to see that, because I was asking why all the time, and I just finally was able to drop the question. I don't even want to go there. It's like, why did someone have AIDS? Why did someone get raped? You want to tell somebody, well, it's because in your previous lifetime you did blah, 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 or what. It's gone for me. The why is gone. What happens, happens. That's where I'm at, essentially. And that, what can one do? Learn?
But that's where my thing of surrender. I'm surrendering. I'm surrendering. But I had a funny experience. The stroke came along, and my guru had been giving me so much nachas, blessing and grace, and I couldn't figure out, what is he doing with the stroke? What, did he go out for lunch or something? And then this is interesting. After the stroke, I had about 2 years, two something or other, depression. And I wasn't depressed because of what my body things. I was depressed because he had pulled away his grace. But I found how to deal with that. His picture was on my hospital wall, and everybody said, "Oh, terrible! You've got a stroke. Too bad." And I was buying into their minds. I mean, they said the stroke is bad, and I started, his grace, stroke is bad. His grace, stroke is bad. And I bring them together, and I got into this thing of the stroke was His grace. That's the way I ended the depression. So I said, it's fierce grace. And a movie was made with that title, Fierce Grace. And it went to India. And the woman who he left when my guru left his body, she takes care of the temples. And she sent me a message. Maharaj-ji would never give you a stroke. Oh, that's bad. I've got a movie out. Well, I've done it again. And then I thought about it for a while, and I said, he didn't give me the stroke. The stroke is nature. But my reactions to the stroke, seeing it as grace, that he gave me. And I've written back to her. I think
it changed him profoundly in beautiful ways. As I said, I've known him for quite a long time. And I went to see him after the stroke and after the wallowing part, when he was coming out. In fact, I just told him, I went up to him and I said, "How are you doing?" And he goes, "Doing? Being is good." And we did a workshop together. He was, he still had, he's really become incredibly, he had substantive aphasia then, but we did a workshop together. And after it was over, I thanked him, and I was walking out, and I said, "Thank you, Ram Dass, for doing this with me." And the old Ram Dass, from his great height of wonderfulness, would look down with his noblesse oblige and say, "Oh, it's okay, my good man," essentially, it's okay. I've stepped down and I'm doing this thing with you. But instead he said, "No, Sat Santok, thank you for inviting me." And I stopped in my tracks and I went, "Ram Dass, wow." And he really meant it, and he was thanking me for sharing this space with him. And I realized that his heart had changed in a way that was incredible. And I've always admired him, but I didn't always love him. But when I saw what a beautiful soul he had become, so when he talked about fierce grace, I think he's right. I don't think his guru gave him the thing. But the whole point about spiritual practice is, what do you do with what happened?
Yeah, that's right.
What do you do? I mean, what I used to tell myself all the time when I was unhappy with my life, I'd say, I didn't have a stroke, but I'm also aging. So, in jail in South Africa for all those years, who am I thinking of? I used to tell myself, look, there's Nelson Mandela sitting in jail all these 20 years. You're running around doing this. Is he sitting there telling God, why'd you do this to me? And why is this and why is that, and, banging his head against the wall. No, he's sitting there as a noble being figuring out how he can serve his people. So shut up and remember Nelson Mandela. So what he gave us what Ram Dass gave us is a beautiful example of how to deal with life stuff. But one of the things that he was blessed to be able to be free of, at least after the wallowing, I don't know what happened during the wallowing, I never asked him, is he didn't tell himself, it's my fault, this happened because I was this or that or this or that, because he was able to surrender to his guru. And that's a very significant gift.
Yeah. It has to do with that relationship to my guru. That way of seeing this. The stroke, first of all, I get my words kept that kind of thing, and it got me in touch with silence, and my audience is in touch with silence. That's good. Yeah. But that fierce grace, I have had letters and letters and letters. That's been of help to many people. So I didn't.
It was okay.
Yeah. Anybody got any questions of anything?
I'm also a flower child from the 60 generation, and I remember Be Here Now many years ago, but I'm sitting here and I'm also a Jewish girl, and I feel a lot of that coming out today and making me think of my grandma, my grandpa and stuff. But what I want to know is, at this journey that we're on, have you come to a point, have you found peace in your life? Is what I'd like to know. For both of you.
There's another meter. There's the peace meter. Now that I think about it, there's more peace, more contentment than there was, and it comes from practice. The thing about practice is, if you practice it, it's there, and it also comes from maturity and acceptance, and it comes from love, the capacity to love other people, and to yes, that's there. And I think we both share the willingness, capacity to love both ourselves, not perfectly, and love people around us. This gives us some contentment, and it also allows, one of the things that my teacher Yogi Bhajan, he loved to rhyme things. He always said, cultivate an attitude of gratitude. And I do a practice in the morning, and I get up, and I do it almost every morning. And almost every morning, there's a moment of sitting where I'm just saying, thank you for this moment. Thank you for these teachings. Thank you for this practice. Thank you for allowing me to experience my higher self for a moment. So that's there now. That's a real thing. There are other times when there's, my teacher once asked me, he said, how are you doing? And I complained about the, ups and the downs, and he pats me on the shoulder and he says this simple little thing, which seems, completely obvious, but it's resonated with me the whole rest of my life. He goes, Baba, in life there are ups and downs. Yeah. So it's okay when you're wallowing about. The thing is that when this shit is happening and you're feeling lousy, you're still okay. And if you add to it, may I tell a very quick story? It's a Calvin. How many of you know the Calvin cartoon? Well, this is the apex, the best Calvin cartoon ever. Calvin comes home crying, saying, Mommy, 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 this big dog just came and stole Hobbs. I don't know if you all know Hobbs. Hobbs was Calvin's pet toy tiger, which was alive when Calvin was alone with him. And she says to him, if you didn't drag that stupid doll around with you everywhere you went, this wouldn't have happened. And in the last panel, and this is it. This is the whole answer. Calvin says, there's no problem so bad that a little guilt can't make it worse.
I want to respond to his question. I've said this, but I was in Benares, which is where Hindus go to die, and it's a fierce scene because there are people with terrible diseases and walking around on the streets, and they have a little pouch on their clothes that has the money for their funeral pyre, and they don't have a hospital or anything, just there. And the first time I went there, I was very Western, and I thought, oh, this is terrible. And then after I spent becoming a Hindu, I said, boy, this is wonderful. And I looked in their eyes, and they had their eyes, they looked as if they were satisfied. They were satisfied with their life, and they were in the right place at the right time, because they were going to get dying, and they were dying for Shivas to come up to his realm, because they die and get thrown in the river, the Ganga. And I looked at them, and they had a quality of contentment, just content with life. And boy, I said, that if I could get that, and I have gotten that in this island, because I'm content. And I read the magazine of, some of you, I'm sure, read it, AARP. And it shows all the role models of elders. They're bicycling or surfing, or they're the way the culture is. It has youth. And I said, I'll build another role model. I'm just now going to be satisfied. Be satisfied. And be content. And I'm not going to run around the world. And this is the land. This is the, I can hear. I'm right here now. I'm right here now. And that right here now is peace. It's peace. And one of the things that screws up the peace is your mind and it thinking of the past and thinking of the future. That screws it up. And I don't think of the past and the future. Because this now, it's contentment. Yeah.
What I would add to that, by the way, my name is Sat Santok, which means true contentment. And that's a koan, and my teacher gave me to learn how to experience true contentment, to fulfill my name and my destiny. But I want to say this to you. To me, it's an important thing. You know, if you hear Ram Dass say that, and if you think, well, I'm not content, I should be content, then to me, the thing to say is, well, I accept myself the way I am. I forgive myself for not being content right now. And I even forgive myself for not knowing how to forgive myself. Because the thing that's important about spiritual practice is, in fact, some of us in my community came up with this joke which we shared with each other. Don't should on me and I won't should on you. So there are models before us, and if we allow ourselves to be drawn toward them, if we allow Ram Dass to be an example for us of what contentment can be, if we can allow ourselves to know it's there and it's possible, then it's a beautiful thing. If you beat yourself with it and say, he's content and I'm not and I'm no good, then that's the downside of spiritual practice. So it's possible. People do it. It's been happening all throughout history. Contentment is there and it's available. And when you're not content, one of the quickest steps to get there is say, it's okay. It's okay. I'm still okay.
Any questions?
Ram Dass, I don't know if you heard of this Eckhart Tolle that's had this power of now. I just wondered what your reaction to him is.
Well, I think he's a very brilliant fellow. And Oprah says he's wonderful. And there's a book about a few years back called Be Here Now. And he and I are very good friends. When he lectures, he walked in and I was sitting in the third row, and he walked up and he pranamed, and I do the same to him. And maybe we're just of the same root. We don't know. Yeah. I think he's getting the stuff that you don't want. I'd want satisfaction, and here in the, you know, I don't fly anymore. I just sit, and he flies all the time. Good luck. Good luck.
Hi, I want to thank both of you for being here. And I am also an Upper West Side Manhattan Jewish girl. And I hadn't thought about those roots in a long time. But something you said really struck me. I've been on a spiritual path probably for over 20 years. And the externals of my life are quite good. And yet I find myself so angry with God, absolutely enraged. And it's very hard for me to do anything with that because I am sitting in so much judgment about feeling that way that it's hard to take any action or acceptance because I'm busy saying, how can I feel this way? How can I feel this way? And yet it's palpable. It's anger, and I'm not really sure where to put it.
One of the things that I have wound up learning to acknowledge for myself about myself is that there are no wrong feelings. So there are wrong actions. But feelings are feelings, and if I tell myself that it's a wrong feeling, what am I supposed to do with that? So I have found that there's always a combination, for me, I find in general, there's a combination of feelings about how things are in the world and what things have happened to one somewhere in the course of life that were where inside your mind I have wound up saying to God, this is where I was in that place. How could you allow this thing to happen? And one is hurt. One feels betrayed by God. That's what I was dealing with. And the process of forgiving God that I went through was also a process of accepting myself and forgiving myself and loving myself. And those things are, to me, deeply intertwined. And what I have found for myself is that the way in which I hold God in my life and how I can love God or be angry with God is almost identical with how I can love myself and accept myself. So part of this journey that I went on when I realized that I had been angry with God all these years was that I realized that I couldn't fully love myself until I could figure out how to love God. So it's a process that I think what part of the work, besides, attending workshops like I do, which helps deal with that. Absent that is one invites oneself to figure out how to find the place how one can invite oneself to begin to work at forgiveness of self, forgiveness of God. I'll stop there for now.
Ramana Maharshi has this expression that God, Guru, and self is one. And that means that is the ball of light is a God within you. And this is the judging thing. The judging thing is, God, you like you. All you have to do is go back into the heart and look at your predicament. The heart is awareness. And if you are aware of how much you're caught up in thoughts, I'm judging, he's not, I'm not, Once you identify with the God part in you, that doesn't allow you to identify with the thoughts, because the God part of you is aware of the thoughts, and you can't be that awareness and also be a thought. So I am awareness. I am awareness. This is the awareness. I am aware of my thoughts. I'm not identifying with them. I'm identifying with awareness.
I want to add a little more now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Want to add a little more on the subject?
Yeah.
If you are blessed to be able to have a relationship to a teacher or a guru like Ram Dass does, where you could surrender, then it's a way to do that. What I have found for most of us is that this process which he just described is not one that I was able to do without working with other people. So the process that manifested to me that I do, and there are others who do something similar to this, works with people where one is being held in some way and where there is a unconditional love, and you are able to step out of your cognitive mind. I have found that it is not possible to be in one's cognitive mind, directing one's thought, and talking to one's subconscious simultaneously. So you need a partner or people to work with who are holding you with unconditional love and guiding you into that process and that deep space of being able to address the wound space. I have not found it possible for me to do that without having people who can hold me and I could pass the guidance over to. There is a practice within the hypnotherapy world of doing self-hypnosis and leading one by recording things and leading oneself through a process of, what do they call it? Not affirmations, what's that other thing? Autosuggestion. And I have dabbled with that, and hypnotherapy is a very interesting form for dealing with these kinds of wounds and things. I think it's actually more effective than psychotherapy. But I have found that being in the company of people who are able to love one unconditionally and have learned how to guide one in a neutral way is what can allow one to achieve forgiveness, to regain one's innocence, and find inner peace.
Now, prasad. Prasad means the food that's left over by the guru. It means that you eat it and it gets close to the guru. So if you even if you're not hungry, eat. And because my guru said, feed people, and we will feed you out there. Thank you.